singular. Yeah, we're ready. In the beginning was the singularity. All the energy and all the stuff in the universe, all compressed together into a ball so small you could hold it in your hands. Perfect oneness. And then, bang. The universe spilled forth, swirling with simple particles, expanding, taking up more space, creating more time. And those simple particles, under the force of gravity, started to pull themselves together into huge, huge balls so dense that they sparked and caught a light and burned as the universe's first stars. And as those stars went through their life cycles, expanding, contracting, exploding, those stars changed the simple particles of the early universe into all the complex particles, all the different kinds of stuff that we have today. Take a minute to look at your hands. Everything you are made up of, all the stuff that makes up your body and my body and the world around us, all that stuff was forged in the burning heart of the universe's early stars. And out on the spiral arm of one galaxy, a yellow star burned with planets circling around it. And one of those planets, a small rocky planet, was in just the right spot, just the right distance from that star. Not too far out and freezing cold, not too close in and boiling hot, just the right distance for oceans to form. Those oceans were full of the complex stardust chemicals made by the universe's early stars. And in those warm seas, the sun shone and storms arose and lightning flashed, giving energy to those complex stardust chemicals. And in those early seas of the ancient earth, a bubble formed. The very first living cell. And inside that bubble was an amazing molecule with the ability to make perfect copies of itself. And so, when that one first living cell split into two, each of those identical twin siblings contained that same molecule, that same amazing self-reproducing molecule. And then the two turned into four, and the four into eight, and eight into millions of cells, filling the ancient oceans. And now there were differences, slight changes in that amazing molecule, so that those millions of cells, still siblings, weren't identical anymore. There were little differences. And so each of them was able to find new ways to move and grow and make a living in those ancient seas. And some of those cells stuck together. In each individual, now not just one cell, but a community, a whole city of cells working together to a common purpose. And some of those cells learned how to take energy from the light of the sun, and they became the first plants, filling the ancient oceans and moving up onto the rocky shores, turning the once barren continents of our planet lush green. And then, out on another branch of that one singular family tree, some of those communities of cells, those clusters, became the animals, our earliest ancestors, swimming in the warm seas of the early earth. Take a minute to look at your hands again. Your hands are made up of millions of cells. Every single one of those cells is part of a perfect, unbroken line of descendants from that first original cell that pulled itself together out of stardust chemicals in the warm, cozy oceans of the ancient earth. We are all part of that family tree. We are all descendants together. You and me and our cousins, the plants and animals, and all life on this earth. We are living the story of the universe together. And we're going to hear more about our ancient ancestors in just a moment. But first, I'd like to invite you to sing. So please rise in body or spirit and join together in singing The Blood of the Ancients. The music and lyrics are in an insert in your order of service. The lyrics are also up on the screen, and it's short, so we're going to sing it through several times.
One way to learn from a story is to listen to it, or see it acted out in front of you, or see it drawn in a cartoon. But another way to learn from a story is to embody it. The story I'm going to tell you is a story about how we got these bodies that we have. Our bodies are all different and unique in a variety of ways. We look different, we have different feelings, we can do different things with our bodies. Some of us are adventurous athletes. Some of us use a wheelchair to move around. Some of us are adventurous athletes who use a wheelchair to move around. There's a lot of variation. So during this story, I invite you to be part of the story with your body, however feels comfortable to you. Some of you may want to get up and move out into the aisles so you have some more room to move around and do the things I'm going to suggest doing. Others of you may want to sit quietly and imagine your body doing the things. And some of you may want to do some of the things and imagine some of the things. Like my back went out a couple days ago, so I am not getting down and crawling around, sorry. But Carrie might. Either way is fine. And whatever you decide to do, remember that other people's bodies are for them to decide what to do with. So keep your body to yourself unless you ask permission from somebody else to touch them, which you might want to do because there's a cuddling part, but... So that all sounds very serious and wise, but really this is a wild and silly story. And I am offering you a wild and silly and holy invitation to be in this story with me, in your body. So let's begin. This is our grandmother fish. She lived a long, 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 long time ago. She could wiggle and swim fast. Can you wiggle? And she had jaws to chomp with. Can you chomp? Grandmother fish had many kinds of grandchildren. They could wiggle and chomp. I think the chomping should be louder. Okay. Can you find grandmother Reptile? This is grandmother Reptile. She lived a long, 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 long time ago. She could crawl across the ground. Can you crawl? And she could breathe air in and out. Can you breathe? Grandmother Reptile had many kinds of grandchildren. They could wiggle and chomp. And they could crawl and they could breathe. Can you find your grandmother Mammal? This is our grandmother Mammal. She lived a long, long, long time ago. Her babies could squeak when they were hungry. Can you squeak? Squeak, 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 squeak. And she could cuddle with her babies. Can you cuddle? Grandmother Mammal had many kinds of grandchildren. They could wiggle and chomp and crawl and breathe and squeak, 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 and cuddle. Can you find our grandmother Ape? This is our grandmother Ape. She lived a long, long time ago. She could grab branches to climb. Can you grab?
Hey, Daisy.
And she could hoot when she was happy. Hoot! Hoot! Can you hoot? Hoot! 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 Grandmother Ape had many kinds of grandchildren. They could wiggle and chomp and crawl and breathe and squeak, and cuddle, and grab, and hoot, 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 hoot. Can you find grandmother Human? This is our grandmother Human. She lived a long time ago. She could walk on 2 feet, and some of us can walk and some of us can roll. Can you walk or roll?
This is easy.
And she could talk and tell stories. Good morning, everybody. Happy Easter. Now, grandmother Human had many kinds of grandchildren. They could wiggle and chomp and crawl and breathe and squeak, 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 and cuddle and grab and hoot, 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 and walk and talk. Easter, good morning, everybody. And I see lots of them right here. All life on earth is related. And this is our family tree. There are many, many stories about grandmother Human's grandchildren. No one story is the right or the best or the true or the most important story. But because this is Easter Sunday, the next story we tell will be about a grandchild of grandmother Human who was called Jesus, who lived 2,000 years ago.
I'm afraid if I wiggle, something might shake loose. This month's recipient of our offering outreach was selected by our coming of age class. The Darby Creek Valley Association is dedicated to protecting and enhancing all of the Darby Creek watershed's resources, including water, wildlife, historical sites, and the floodplain. Please give generously. Would our ushers come forward to collect this morning's offering?
a very long time after grandmother human came into the world, but still a long time ago from now, there was a man called Jesus, and stories about this man have called people toward justice and love for 2,000 years. Now, the stories say that Jesus was born in a manger, and angels and shepherds and wise people visited him, and when he was all grown up, he became a great teacher. He taught the people who followed him using parables, stories of how the world could be or should be. He spoke truth to power, and those in power did not like that. They had Jesus arrested, tortured, and killed. This is the terrible and sad part of the story. After he died, his body was taken by his followers and put in a tomb with a giant stone rolled in front of the entrance to the tomb. And now I'm going to tell you what the Bible says about what happened next. All of the people in this story were followers of Jesus, his dear friends, who were at that time grieving his death. Our reading today comes from the Gospel of Mark, book 16, chapter 16, verses 1 through 15 and 19 through 20. When the Sabbath was over, Mary Magdalene and Mary the mother of James and Salome brought spices so that they might go and anoint him. And very early on the first day of the week, when the sun had risen, they went to the tomb. They had been saying to one another, "Who will roll away the stone for us from the entrance to the tomb?" When they looked up, they saw that the stone, which was very large, had already been rolled back. As they entered the tomb, they saw a young man dressed in a white robe sitting on the right side, and they were alarmed. But he said to them, "Do not be alarmed. You are looking for Jesus of Nazareth, who was crucified. He has been raised. He is not here. Look, there is the place where they laid him. But go, tell his disciples and Peter that he is going ahead of you to Galilee. There you will see him, just as he told you." So they went out and fled from the tomb, for terror and amazement had seized them, and they said nothing to anyone, for they were afraid. Now after he rose early on the first day of the week, he appeared first to Mary Magdalene, from whom he had cast out 7 demons. She went out and told those who had been with him while they were mourning and weeping. But when they heard that he was alive and had been seen by her, they would not believe it. After this, he appeared in another form to 2 of them as they were walking into the country. And they went back and told the rest, but they did not believe them. Later, he appeared to the 11 themselves as they were sitting at the table, and he upbraided them for their lack of faith and stubbornness, because they had not believed those who saw him after he had risen. And he said to them, "Go into all the world and proclaim the good news to the whole creation." So then the Lord Jesus, after he had spoken to them, was taken up into heaven and sat down at the right hand of God. And they went out and proclaimed the good news everywhere, while the Lord worked with them and confirmed the message by signs that accompanied it. This was a new story. It was a source of wonder and mystery. How could someone whom everyone had seen die, horribly killed, come back and walk amongst the living? At first, as you have heard, nobody believed it. Then a few believed it, and they learned that their job was to go out and share the good news they believed, that Jesus was resurrected and with God in heaven. Even for those who did not believe or who never heard this story changed everything. The world is a completely different place for us here now than it would have been if this story had never been told. It has indeed been used to justify war and warp love into control and violence, but it has also called people to love and justice. No story is all good or bad. Without denying the pain that Christianity has caused, let us celebrate today, on Easter, the renewal of life that this story reaches towards. This story reminds us that even when things seem bleak, rebirth and renewal are possible. We have choices. We can bring good into the world. Bulbs under the ground can burst forth into beautiful flowers when we honor their life force and allow them to flourish.
One more story this morning. The story of Jesus' life and death and resurrection changed the whole world. And although the stories we tell ourselves and each other may not all change the whole world, they do matter to the world. Because within the universe and on this planet Earth, everything is related. All is connected. There are stories within stories. The idea that everything is related and connected is a story. It's the story of the interdependent web. Take a deep breath. The air you breathe in contains oxygen that trees and plants all over the planet breathed out. The air you breathe out contains carbon dioxide that trees and plants all over the planet will breathe in. Look around you. Look at the face of someone near you. Maybe that's a person you love. For certain, it's a face of someone somebody loves. When we love somebody, we make choices we hope will bring that person happiness and well-being. Listen. Listen to the sounds in this room. Sound is vibration, and vibration is energy. Every cell in your body, every atom in your body, every atom in the universe vibrates with energy, and they're all connected. Feel the weight of your body touching your chair. Remember the taste of the last food you ate in your mouth. Breathe in again and smell the flowers up here around the pulpit. You are connected. You are part of the interdependent web of all existence, of which we all are parts. Ask yourself, how am I participating in this interdependent web today? We can participate in the interdependent web by connecting with the universe. Maybe you'll look up at the night sky tonight. You might learn more about the first picture we human beings have ever made of a black hole. Or write a letter to your congressperson asking for stronger regulations to prevent air and light pollution, protecting our atmospheric window to the universe beyond. Perhaps you'll participate in the interdependent web today by connecting with the earth. You could dig in the garden, in the dirt this afternoon. I'm going to. Maybe you'll learn about how human activity is affecting the planet and our climate. Or notice the choices you're making today about how you use energy or where your energy comes from. We can participate in the interdependent web by connecting the plants and animals. You might play with a dog like the one who's out on the patio right now. Although that might be a service dog, I'm not sure. Don't play with it, it's a service dog. Or take a moment to smell the flowers deeply and mindfully. Perhaps you could learn about the plants and animals native here in the temperate forest ecosystem where we live. Maybe you're going to an Easter dinner later today. Maybe you'll practice gratitude for the fruits and vegetables you're eating. You can participate in the interdependent web by connecting with other human beings. You could look into the face of someone who is much older or much younger than you. Here, at a church, that's a great place to do that. Or you might find out more about the cultures of people in your neighborhood, your town, or your region. Perhaps you can speak up for the rights or needs of someone who is different from you in some way. Or maybe you will participate in the interdependent web by sharing stories. You could listen for the stories that are not being told in your own life, or your family, or your communities. Or get to know the stories of the great religious and wisdom traditions of the world. Today is not just Easter, it's also Passover. And within the next month, various traditions will be celebrating Beltane, Ramadan, Visakha Puja, and the ascension of Baha'u'llah. Maybe, just maybe, we will be brave enough to tell the world our own stories, to tell the world who we are.